morning, you guys. This morning we are going to be working on transforming formulas. You took your quiz and it looks like you need a little bit more practice with this. So the way that class is going to work today is I'm going to put 5 problems up on the board and I'm going to explain to you how to do them. So I want you to take out a piece of paper and do the problems with me as I'm doing them up on the board. And then I'm going to give you 5 problems that I want you to do on your own and to turn into the transforming formulas assignment box. And then I will grade those. Okay? So with that said, let me go ahead and show you today's problems. Okay, so for this first problem, we have x equals a times b times c. Okay, whenever there is 2 variables right next to each other or 3 variables right next to each other, that is implied multiplication. Okay, so when we have a and b and c right next to each other, this would be a times b times c. Just like if you have a number right next to a variable. So like if you have 2 and x right next to each other, we know that this is 2 times by x. Okay, so that's really important to understand when you're doing this transforming formulas lesson. Another thing that's important to understand is when we transform formulas, we are trying to isolate the variable that they ask us to solve for. Okay, just like when you guys solve an equation, let's say you have an equation x plus 5 equals 10, and you're solving this equation for the x, that means you're trying to get the x all by itself by getting rid of whatever's on the same side as the x. Okay, we're doing that same thing here when we transform formulas. It's just that instead of numbers, we have all variables. Okay, so if we have this problem, x equals a times b times c, and we are asked to solve for the b, that means we want to get the b all by itself. Okay, so we can see the b is right here. I'm going to put it in red. Okay, so we want the b to be all by itself, which means we have to get rid of the multiplication of c, and we also have to get rid of the multiplication of a. So the way that we get rid of multiplication is by using division. Okay, so if I want this to just be a b, by dividing by an a times c, that's going to get rid of this multiplication of a and this multiplication of c and leave me with just b, which is what I want to have happen. And remember, when you solve an equation or you transform a formula, whatever you do on one side, you have to do the exact same thing on the other side. So since we divided the right side by AC, we're going to divide the left side by AC. So we're left with x divided by a times c equals b. Once you have the b all by itself, this is your solution. Okay, that's how you transform that formula. It's okay that we have more than one variable in our answer. Okay, this is what our answer should look like. So let's go ahead and look at another one. Okay, so for question number 2, we have, let's read through this, okay? We have 2 times x plus y equals 10. And on this one, we are going to solve for the x. Okay, so that means that we want to get this x right here all by itself. Let me go ahead and put that x in a different color for us here. Okay, so we want to isolate the x. Okay, now let's think about what we need to get rid of if we want the x to be by itself. Well, we're going to have to get rid of this term, right? We're going to have to get rid of the plus y. Remember, you always get rid of addition or subtraction part first. And then we're going to have to get rid of the multiplication of 2. So if we can get rid of the plus y and the multiplication of 2, then that is going to leave us with our x all by itself, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we had 2 times x plus y equals 10. we're solving for the x, okay? So we want to get the x all by itself. To get rid of the plus y, we have to do a minus y, which would do that on both sides, okay? Now let's go ahead and write down what we have left, which would be 2 times x equals 10 minus y. Now from there, we need to get rid of the multiplication of 2. And the only way to get rid of multiplication is by using division. Now we divided the left side by 2. We also have to divide everything on the right side by 2. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 leaves us with 1x. We have the x all by itself now. And now we're just going to simplify this. So go ahead and get out your calculator. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And these guys are they're not like terms, right? So we're going to leave this as negative y divided by 2. And this is our solution. Once you have the x all by itself, then you are done. And you can see that it's okay that we have more than one variable in this problem. Okay, let's go ahead and look at another question. Okay, so for question number 3, we have 3 times x plus 4y equals 12. And we're supposed to solve for the y. Okay, so you guys can see that we have the y. It's on the left side of our equation, isn't it? It's right here. Let me go ahead and put that in a different color. Okay, so in order to solve for this y, that means we need to get the y by itself, right? We need to isolate the y. So we're going to have to get rid of the 3x. We're also going to have to get rid of the multiplication of 4. So if we want to get rid of this term right here, this 3x term from the left side, we can get rid of it on the left side by doing a subtract 3x. And if we subtracted 3x from the left side, we need to subtract 3x from the right side. Now let's just go ahead and write down what we have left. 3x minus 3x totally cancels out, which is what we want to have happen. Now we have 4 times y. Sorry, that equal sign didn't really work out very well. So 4 times y equals 12 minus 3 times x. Now from here, and this is a 3. Okay, there we go. Now from here, we still are wanting to get the y by itself. So we're going to have to get rid of this term right here. That's how we can get the y by itself. So to get rid of the multiplication of 4, the coefficient of 4, we're going to have to divide by 4. And if we divide the left side by 4, we have to divide everything on the right side by 4. So 1y equals 3, okay, because 12 divided by 4, you can do that in your calculator, is 3 minus 3x divided by 4. And you guys, that is our solution. Once you have the y all by itself, you are done. Okay, let's go ahead and look at a couple more, and then I'm going to give you guys some to try. Okay, so for question number 4, let's go ahead and read through this. We have 4 times x. We have a minus 3 in front of the parentheses, y minus 2 equals 15 plus y, and we're going to solve for x. Okay, now you guys know that when we're solving equations, if there's something that needs to be distributed or simplified, we take care of that first. So we're going to solve for x, but before we proceed to solving this equation, we need to simplify this left side. Okay, because we have this negative 3 that's in front of our parentheses, we need to distribute that to both of the terms inside the parentheses. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that first. Negative 3 times y is going to be negative 3y. And then a negative 3 times a negative 2 is a positive 6. And then we have a 4x. Okay, now when we look at these terms, you can see that this one, 4 times x, has a variable of x. This one, negative 3 times y, has a variable of y. And 6 is just a constant. Okay, so none of these terms are like terms. We can't combine any of them. So let's go ahead and just leave the left side. Once we've distributed, there's nothing we can combine. The right side, we have 15 plus y. Okay, now let's talk about what we need to do next. We're trying to isolate this x, right? We're solving for the x. We want to get the x all by itself, which means that there are a few things we're going to have to get rid of. We're going to have to get rid of the negative 3y. We're going to have to get rid of the positive 6. And we're also going to have to get rid of the multiplication of 4. So we can do that easily. We're just going to use opposite operations. To get rid of a positive 3y or a negative 3y, we're going to do a positive 3y. And if we add 3y to the left side, we also need to add 3y to the right side. Now notice, I put the 3y underneath the 1y because those are the ones that I'm going to combine on the right side. Okay. We also needed to get rid of this plus 6, right? So to get rid of a plus 6, the opposite of adding 6 is to subtract 6. Okay, now let's write down what we have left. So negative 3y plus 3y is going to cancel. Plus 6 minus 6 is going to cancel. So we're left with 4 times x equals 15 minus 6, which is 9. And 1y plus 3y is 4y. Okay, we're almost done. We almost have the x all by itself. Our last step is to get rid of the multiplication of 4, right? In order for this x to be all alone, we have to get rid of the multiplication of 4. So we do that by dividing by 4. And we're going to have to do that on everything. So 4 divided by 4 leaves us with 1x. And then 9 divided by 4. We can either leave that as 9 divided by 4, or if you wanted to put that into your calculator, when you do 9 divided by 4, you get 2.25. Or you could say 2 and 1/4 if you wanted to write it as a mixed number. Okay, all three of these work. So 9 divided by 4 works, 2.25 works, and 2 and 1/4 works. Okay, and then 4 divided by 4 is 1y. So that, my friends, is our solution. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more. Okay, the last one we're going to do together, and then I'm going to have you do some of these on your own. So we're solving for the y, right? We want to get the y all by itself. Okay, so we're trying to isolate the y. We have 13 equals 12 times x minus 2 times y. So in order for the y to be alone, we're going to have to first get rid of the 12x. Then we're going to have to get rid of the multiplication of negative 2. Okay, those are the two things that we need to get rid of in order for y to be by itself. So first thing that we do is get rid of the 12x. We're going to do that by subtracting 12x. And if we subtract 12x from the right side, we have to subtract 12x from the left side. So we end up getting 13 minus 12 times x equals, this 12x minus 12x cancels. Now one thing you have to be careful of is there's a minus sign in front of this 2y. So that is really a negative 2 times by y. And that's important. If you don't bring down that negative with the 2, then you will not have the correct signs. Okay, last step in getting this y by itself is to get rid of the multiplication of negative 2 by doing a division of negative 2. And because we divided the right side by negative 2, we have to divide everything on the left side by negative 2. So we have 13 divided by negative 2. And that fraction doesn't simplify. Okay, 2 doesn't go into 13 evenly. So we can just leave it as that. We've got a negative 12x divided by a negative 2. And if you put negative 12 divided by negative 2 into your calculator, you're going to get a positive 6x equals Why? Okay, and that is our solution. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some problems to try on your own. If you want to do these quiz problems in a breakout room and have me correct them for you right here in class so that you know that you're doing them correctly, that would be awesome. I'd be super happy to do that. So once you get done with watching this video, which if you made it to this point, you are, and you would like to do your problems up on the board in a breakout room, just raise your hand and I will put you in an individual breakout room. So go ahead and copy down. And actually, I'm just going to change this to 3 problems. Okay, so go ahead and copy down the following 3 problems. And then if you want to go into a breakout room, raise your hand. If you feel like you understand how to do this, then do the 3 problems. Make sure you show all of your work, circle your answer, turn them into the Transforming Formulas assignment box. Okay, this is the redo of your Transforming Formulas quiz. Okay, you guys, so here are the 3 problems that I want you to do. This is the redo of your Transforming Formulas quiz. Okay, so for question number 1, you're going to solve for the y. You're going to get the y all by itself. For question number 2, you're solving for the p. And for question number 3, you're solving for the a. You want to get the a all by itself. Okay, so with that said, if you want to do this in a breakout room, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll put you in an individual breakout room so that you can make sure that you do all 3 of these correctly before turning your quiz in. If you feel like you know how to do this 100% perfectly, go ahead and do this quiz and then turn it into the Transforming Formulas assignment box and you are excused. I'll see you tomorrow.